Hi guys, I'm Jess.
And I'm sick. I mean, Heidi.
Oh no, Heidi's dying, you guys. Except not really.
I'll be fine. There might be some extra sniffles in this episode, so I apologize.
Oh, poor Heidi. She has battled on for yet another episode of Betty Squared. Hooray, Heidi. That can be our hashtag this week. Hooray, Heidi.
Yes.
Today on Betty Squared, we are looking at chapter 57, Survive the Night, which, do you know how hard it was for me to not message you about this episode?
Oh my gosh, I felt the same.
Girl, I basically had to like sit on my hands. I almost had to delete your number because I was like, I am gonna break this rule and I'm gonna message her and it's not gonna be like, oh my god, this and this. It's gonna be like specific, like what did you think about this thing and what did you think about that thing and this is what I thought. Like it was waiting to talk about this episode was absolute agony.
Yeah, I agree. It was really hard.
I did look it up on IMDb, and there was a whole bunch of different straight for TV movies and TV series and all of that named Survive the Night. There was nothing really that correlated to the episode that we had today, but the first one that popped up was a 1993 TV movie, and the synopsis goes like this. On their way home from Brooklyn, psychiatrist Vic, daughter Julie, and sister Stacy run short of gas. They leave the highway in search for a petrol station, but end up around the South Bronx, which is really weird if they're coming from Brooklyn. But anyway, I suppose if they were coming up the top of Brooklyn. Anyway, a youth gang under the sadistic Ice, which is the character's name, Ice, stops their car and starts menacing with them. When Julie drives away in panic, she damages one of their bikes. Ice feels provoked and decides to hunt them down. Without fuel, the three women soon have to flee by foot and defend their lives by all means possible.
Huh. That was
So,
such a detailed synopsis.
It's what, sorry?
It was such a detailed synopsis. A lot of the times it's like 2 lines, and that was very detailed.
Yeah, and you know what? The crazy thing is, it actually goes on. But I was like, look, we don't have all the time in the world. Let's not keep going about this TV movie that doesn't really relate to this episode. I don't think, unless you can read something into that.
No, I don't think so. But what was interesting to me is that it reminded me of this YouTube show that's done by Joey Graceffa. I don't know if you.
No, I don't know who that is.
So he's just a YouTube personality, and he has his own YouTube Red show, and it's called Escape the Night. And when I read the title, because I did read the title this time, wow.
Yay!
When I read the title, I thought I couldn't remember if his was Escape the Night or Survive the Night, but his is Escape, and this was Survive. But I feel like they are pretty. They kind of have more of a connection, at least, than the TV movie you had mentioned. Because in his show, it's basically like a reality game show sort of thing where it's a bunch of YouTubers and they're all together in a house or in the last one was at like the circus, and they're trying to. It's basically a giant escape room, but the whole house and is an escape room kind of thing, if that makes sense. So it's a reality TV show in that. People each episode get killed off if they like lose a certain thing or whatever, and it's really fun. They dress up really nicely usually, and kind of are in a sort of like era wear, and that reminded me of what was happening with the kiddos in this episode, especially with the house and the dinner table. There were a lot of things that remind me of it, and the clues along the way and the different challenges.
Right.
It really reminded me of that. And I don't know if that was on purpose or if that just happened on accident, but I also know that Joey is really good friends with Madeline. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Ah, there you go. Who knows? Maybe they could have based it on that, but didn't want to connect it to the show. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? That's really cool, though.
Yeah. It really reminded me of it a lot.
Yeah. And there's so many films that kind of have that same element where you're trying to escape something and there's these, you look at the Saw movies, you look at Escape Room, you look at any of those kinds of psychological thrillers where people are kidnapped and they have to try and escape these ridiculous challenges and things like that, which is very much in essence what this episode was.
Yeah.
These ridiculous challenges. But that's not where I want to start. Can I start with my first note? Because I'm just dying to say this.
Please.
I called this last week. Plot hole. Plot hole, plot hole, plot hole. You know what I'm talking about?
Tony.
Yes! Yeah. Did I or did I not say last week that if Tony, who has not been told about this harvesting of the organs, says it to somebody, that is wrong?
You did say that.
Great. Wonderful. I just needed someone to validate the fact that finally, after 3 seasons, I got something right. Like, I mean, you called who the Black Hood was way back when, and, like, you called, I don't even know if you remember this, you called who the Gargoyle King was. You changed your mind last week, but you were right the week before when you called it. Like, you had this natural ability to be able to call these things. Yet with me, I'm like, la, 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 la. And so finally, I get one. And it's not a big deal. It's not a big one, but I got one.
You did. And I'm proud of you. And I thought of that when I saw it too. Not to switch the subject to about how I'm right, but I did think that was crazy that it was Chick. And I'm not completely, my point that I had thought up of last week, I wasn't completely wrong on that either.
Really?
It wasn't there wasn't like a secret triplet or anything like that, but there was someone pretending to be Jason that she was kind of treating as a son. And I thought that was interesting.
I mean, I just thought it was incredible that you were like, what if the Gargoyle King is Chick? And then you were like, we never saw the Black Hood get Chick, and, maybe he took pity on him and blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly the case. That's exactly what happened. Hal even makes some comment about, I saw a similarity, or I saw a likeness or fondness or kinship. He uses some word between himself as the Black Hood and Chick. And yeah, I was like, Jesus, Heidi, you're good. 2 for 2 you are.
Thank
I'm
you.
0 for 2. You're 2 for 2. Next season, I'm going to guess the serial killer. It's going to be me.
Yeah, if there is one, yeah.
Oh, God. So funny. My Apple Watch that I'm wearing right now just told me to breathe, because obviously my heart is racing too much.
So excited.
It's very intense. I must talk about it and be very passionate. Oh, God. It just beeped, and I was like, what is that? I was like, a minute of deep breathing can help you relax. I'm like, shut up. I'm fine. Oh, God. But getting back to Tony and this big plot hole, obviously no one told her that they were harvesting the organs. Cheryl very quickly was like, this isn't correct. This isn't, the way it's supposed to be. But at no point was that information given to her. But interesting that Tony would confide this information in Penelope. And the show was very careful about how they did that. Penelope even makes the comment of, oh, thank goodness I happened to be here collecting my mail when you came in. But so strange that she would go straight to Thistle House versus the police.
Yeah, I thought that was strange too.
And telling Penelope, Tony knows Penelope is no good. Why even bother risking that?
I don't know. A lapse in judgment, I guess. Moving the plot along kind of situation. Yeah, she definitely trusts FP exponentially more than I would anticipate her ever trusting Penelope. So that was weird to me. I was like yelling at my screen. My first note is just all caps. Why would she tell her? Yeah. But c'est la vie. it moves the story along, kind of.
I suppose so, but yeah, I wasn't screaming at the TV, but I swear to God, if I had been wearing my Apple Watch, it would have just probably exploded because I was so angry. Oh God. Um, very quickly, did you catch on to the fact that Edgar was going to give Betty a lobotomy?
Okay, I thought that too. At first, after my first rewatch, I was like, "What was he gonna just lobotomize her?" But then in
Yeah.
the second rewatch, I noticed that she had lines on her forehead, and he wasn't holding like that long tool that people usually use to scramble your brains when they do a lobotomy, at least from what I've seen on TV. Um, he was holding a something in his hand, and then he was holding like a hammer to like hammer it. So I think he was going to open up her skull. I don't think he was going to lobotomize her.
Oh, oh, Jesus. I
Yeah,
don't know. I thought that that was really dark for Riverdale. I was like, oh my God, what the hell?
yeah. I thought that was interesting, and because it makes more sense for him too to want to take the organs and not destroy them. But I did one of my note in my note was he really going to take her brain? What is he going to do with that?
Right,
Like,
because
people don't have brain transplants.
well, okay, so here's me really jumping all over the place, and only for a second, and then we can come back. Um, was he thinking about taking her brain because they were going to put it inside of Jason?
Maybe.
Am I right in thinking they were trying to reanimate Jason?
I didn't get that sense. I thought that Jason was a recent thing that he had done. He had dug up Jason's grave as a means to, even though he would probably say like therapize or like counsel Cheryl, but as a way to torture Cheryl. Um,
Uh,
I didn't really see him using him for anything, but maybe he is some sort of Dr. Frankenstein. I don't know.
well, that's kind of what I thought. I was like, oh my God, they're taking all these organs and they're going to try and reanimate Jason, and this is going to be all fucked up and weird. But I don't know. I don't know. That whole part really threw me and really confused me. But we can talk more on that later. Um, I just wanted to segue into that because you were mentioning about Betty's brain. I was like, well, the only
Yes.
possible place to put it is inside of Jason. But even
I mean,
still,
he could just keep doing what he was doing and put things on ice and then sell them to whoever he was selling them. I assume on the black market or something.
but a brain?
Yeah, that was my question too. There's no use for a brain other than like something nasty.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe it's a
Oh,
delicacy or something. Oh God.
oh, nasty.
But
Um,
I'm really glad that Betty was rescued, even if that situation was just as bad, if not just as dangerous as her being, potentially lobotomized.
she at least had a chance to fight.
Exactly, and we know our Betty is a good fighter.
Oh yeah. Um, in that scene too, I hated when Evelyn opened that door and she called him Dad. Did you catch that?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That took me a second. I was like, hang on, the door. Yeah, yeah. But she was like, Dad. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. I don't know if Penelope was in the next room. She must have been. So she was putting up the act, but I was like, ugh, so gross. Ugh.
I mean, I was about to say, do people at the farm know that they're married? But
They
yeah,
do.
they would. It was it's just yeah more a case of she pretends to be a teenager, so maybe she's just gotten into the habit of calling him dad for like pretense's sake.
Maybe,
No.
but I think he did walk straight into the other room and was like, Penelope.
Yeah, it was pretty much that. So let's just pretend she was calling him dad because Penelope was in the next room.
Fingers crossed that that's what it was.
Because if it's some weird kinky sex shit, my poor little heart can't take
No, definitely not.
it. Speaking of Evelyn, did you notice, and I've got so many questions about the Ascension, but did you notice how nervous she was when Edgar was like, we're going to ascend tonight? When
Not
Alice comes
really.
and you didn't notice that?
No, go ahead though.
So when Alice comes along and she's like, I can't find Betty, and Evelyn's like, she escaped with Tony. Edgar is very quick and he's like, we're ascending tonight, we've been compromised, blah, blah, blah. And every time Edgar says the word ascend or ascension, the camera cut to Evelyn and she looked genuinely nervous or genuinely worried. And it happened 2 or 3 times where the camera cut to her after he's like, we're going to ascend, get ready for the ascension. Each time she looked really hesitant. And I'm wondering, are we talking like Children of God kind of ascension where, wait, was it Children of God where they all drank the poison and committed mass suicide?
There's Jonestown. There's whatever this San Diego cult was. I can't remember what they were called. I don't think it's Children of God.
No,
They still exist. Let me look.
that's right. It was Manson's one. Manson made them drink a whole bunch of poison,
No,
right? No?
Jonestown.
Oh,
You're thinking of Jonestown.
okay. I was going to say there's
Jonestown
too many.
is drink the Kool-Aid.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay, that is the one I'm thinking of. There's too many sickos out there. I can't keep up.
Yeah. Definitely not the Heaven's Gate is the other one I was thinking of. That's the one that took place in San Diego.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe I'm thinking Children of God, God, Heaven. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because I haven't heard of Jonestown before. I've heard of the, drinking the poison Kool-Aid, but I've never known what cult that came from.
That's Jonestown. And that's one of the largest mass suicides that's ever happened. It was about 900 people.
Oh my God, that's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. But I mean, the point I'm trying to get to is that I don't know whether that's what we're meant to think as far as what the ascension means. I don't know. What do you think?
That's definitely what I was thinking at first. But then when we saw Kevin jumping to the close to the end of the episode,
Yeah.
when we then saw Kevin and he was sitting in that room and they all of their shoes and clothing were all on the ground around him, it made me think of the rapture from Christian. I almost said mythology from Christian teachings and from that stuff. But I obviously don't think that that's what happened in this TV show. So I'm not really sure what the ascension is meant to be. I definitely, even though I got the vibes of mass suicide, I don't think that's what happened. But I'm curious to see what happened to them next season.
Yeah, likewise. Really curious to see. But, only time will tell, as most things with Riverdale go. You just have to wait and be patient. Am I right in thinking that this farm storyline is going to continue for a little while then, do you think?
It looks like it. I think next season, I'm really interested to see. I'm glad with how this, I mean, just to give like an overview of my thoughts, I'm glad how this season ended. It did seem to give a sort of button to the Gargoyle King and the Black Hood situation, at least for now. We obviously lost Penelope and the cult. They're out there somewhere, the Farmies. So it seems like next season there's going to be some working with the FBI, with the new FBI agent that we were introduced to, and then getting to spring break of their senior year somehow. And I'm curious.
Yeah. Which I'm nervous about because we all know that TV shows kind of go downhill once the kids go off and go to college. So I'm a little nervous for their senior year.
I agree. Seems like next season is senior year, so we have at least one more season before
It
things
goes to
get
shit. Oh God. My next note, and I wish we could visually show things because I put a bunch of emojis, is oh my God, Betty's dress.
the pink one.
Oh, it was stunning. She looked like a princess.
She did look like a princess.
Oh man, and I kept thinking of her, that poor thing, like that dress was so long, all that running
Yes.
through the forest and everything, that poor girl. Like Veronica's dress just hit the ground, so that's a reasonable length, but Betty had like a train.
Yeah, hers was very, very long. The train. I hated the fluffy thing she was wearing.
Oh, the sweater?
Yeah,
Oh, I liked that.
I thought you might.
Yeah,
It's much more your style than mine.
it
The
is.
dress I didn't really care for. I'm not a big fan of like the silky, satiny, or glittery stuff, but it looked pretty on her, and it was pretty for what it was. It didn't feel like Betty to me.
No, but I think that was the idea. She
Yeah,
didn't pick that dress out. Penelope did.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I did have a really good laugh when they're sitting at the dinner table and, they're trying to work out what's going on, and slowly, slowly Penelope's revealing the truth. And Jughead's like, I've almost figured it out. I'm like, who says that? Who says that? You either know or you don't know.
Yeah, I almost
It
figured
made
it
me
out.
laugh so much. I'm like, oh, Jughead, I love you, but no one talks like that. I've almost figured it out. I'm like, no, you haven't. You haven't, because otherwise you would have said so.
Yeah, that scene definitely felt like the Scooby Gang, and not the Buffy one, like the original Scooby Doo gang, um,
Yeah.
ripping off a mask and saying it was Mr. Jenkins because he da 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 da, like their whole little spiel that they would do in their episodes. It very
Yeah.
much felt like that.
Yeah, it did. It was very expositional. Is that the right word?
That's what I was thinking too, and I can't think of what other word it would be. But yeah, that's
It was. It was very much a display. It wasn't really, amazing writing, but I did really enjoy the scene. And like I said, I hate when Hal pulls off his hood. It really just unsettles me. And I think I said that last episode as well. But even the look on Betty's face when Penelope's like, "I told you, no masks at the dinner table," and Hal is like the first one to rip his off. It's something, I don't know. It's really unsettling to me, and I think it's because it's Betty's dad, and I keep thinking, if I was in her shoes, how would I feel that my dad is this person standing right in front of me that has done all these horrible things?
yeah.
Maybe that's why I feel constantly unsettled when he takes his mask off.
I mean,
I don't
people in masks too don't give you an air of uh, like anything happy or comforting. It's always a little unsettling when someone's wearing
know.
a mask or a costume.
It's weird you say that too, because in college, when I was studying back in Australia, we actually took a class in mask work.
Oh yeah,
And
I've done that too. Yeah.
I remember for the first couple of times, I didn't get up and present anything to the class. And my teacher's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I actually just kind of don't want to put this mask on." And he's like, "Oh, no, I've got wipes. Like, it's all clean. You don't have to worry about germs." And I'm like, no, I don't like it. I feel really funny about getting up as me, but putting this mask on, but it's not really me. Something weird. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've watched too many horror films. But yeah,
Yeah, I think
masks.
this might be it.
Right. It was this weird thing. And my teacher was like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Look, I'll eventually do it, but I don't really want to put this thing on my face." It was just weird. And even now, thinking back, I can't remember really what caused me or made me feel like that. It was just bizarre. But I think you're right. Masks generally are unsettling. We're not really shown them in a happy light. It's usually something kind of sinister.
Yeah, yeah, I had similar experiences with masks, and I think anyone who's done, um, I mean, we didn't do any mask sort of situation in my high school, in my younger learning, but if I feel like if you get into acting and you uh, start doing things after college or after high school and going to more classes that have a little bit more depth to them, you definitely will very early on deal with mask work. And I had a similar feeling about it, even though I didn't really recognize it then, that I just never felt comfortable in a mask. And so much of it is when you have masks, it's because you are then learning how to work with your body in a different way. But
Yeah.
even then, it just is and they're kind of a metaphor for acting, like on themselves. Like when you were saying, I feel uncomfortable putting on this face that isn't mine. That's just what
Yeah.
acting is, you know. But
Totally. It's a physical face that you're putting on versus a metaphorical face, if you want to get that, in
yeah,
depth about
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Um, the masks in this episode.
it. Yeah,
There were
very much.
some metaphorical ones as well.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Very true indeed. Um, I, I'm sure you noticed this too, the fact that Chick, as Jason, didn't speak,
Yeah,
or like right at the end. I loved that. I was like, look, it really is Jason because he's not saying anything.
yeah,
But I hate his dumb face, and I hated seeing him again. And I'm really glad that he's in jail. But I would have been happier if he was dead.
wow. I mean,
Yeah, you
I
know
think
me,
it's,
it's really black and white.
yeah, I know. I think it's been long enough where I don't really remember how I felt about Chick before. I know it probably wasn't with any fondness, but now I'm just like, oh yeah, that guy's back. Sure. Like I'm so indifferent. Um, but yeah, that was definitely an interesting development that he was Gargoyle King the whole time. I have so many questions, but none of them will ever be answered, so there's no point in asking them.
Well, one thing that I noticed, and it was in the flashback, and I freaking loved it. Um, was you remember ages ago, and we even commented on this ages ago, when we were watching season 2 when Chick was on it regularly. Do you remember that there was that one scene where that kid comes down from his bedroom and Chick is in like a bathrobe and he's drinking milk? And we were like, oh, maybe he's prostituting himself.
Mm-hmm.
That scene was shown in the flashback
Yeah.
where, yeah, where Jughead's like, you introduced it to Chick, who introduced it to Ben, who introduced it to Dilton, blah, 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 blah. I loved that. That was a real, like, full circle moment for me where I was like, that is what happened. Because you and I were both like, what was that about? But we kind of brushed it off. I love that that was there because it makes me think that this has been planned the whole time, which makes me really happy and excited.
Yeah, I still I can't help but have like doubts and be like, well, did they is it just retro? Like, are they doing it retroactively, fitting it into the story? Like, do they really have it planned this way? But the points that they brought up, that she was the one who introduced it to their parents when they were young. She was the like game master in their party. Um, and then the correlation with Chick and what was his name? Ben?
Ben, yeah, the pizza guy or whatever his name was.
Yeah. And then with Chick and the Black Hood, that it all matched up in a way that made sense. And yeah, so I was happy with that.
Yeah,
That
I
being
was
it.
too. Yeah. What is your next note?
Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. Put my phone down for a second, and that's what happens. Um, oh, a thing that I hated. So Mary's talking with Archie at the table or whatever, and he's like, "Mom, you'll never guess what happened. Um, Veronica gave me the El Royale or whatever," and he's talking about that, and she's like, that's cool, but like, are you dating?" And I thought that was
Yeah,
so fucking weird.
it was weird and it was dumb. And she was like, what I'm more interested in is what's happening between the two of you. I'm sorry.
Romantically.
Your son has just been given this gym by another child. Like, is that not weird? No. Let's just talk about whether they're dating or not.
Yeah, are you boning? Huh? Are kids? You boning? Like, that was fucking weird. I hated that.
Yeah. I think they were going for like a nice, tender, joking moment between Mary and Archie, but it just didn't work.
It did not.
It was so weird.
Yeah, it just was weird. Just was weird.
But still, I'm so glad that Mary's there. I really love it.
Another little moment. I'm kind of skipping around, but this is just like, it's the little things, that got me this episode, because I think I liked the content enough where I didn't have like, I don't have too many big notes. I have like weird little ones, so this is how it's been.
Yeah, sure.
But Alice, she had this reaction after Cheryl came in, like burst into his office, Edgar's office, and was like, "You grave robbing," or whatever. And Alice was just like, "Wait, what?" Like, so monotone, like, and low. And it was just, especially because we know now kind of her true intentions behind the farm and why she's kind of been doing what she's doing, which we should talk about as well. But because I take some issues with that. But I just thought that was such a funny moment. It sounded like the real her for a minute, where she's just like, "Wait, what? Like, what the fuck?"
Yeah,
that was very funny.
I know exactly the moment you're talking about, and I couldn't agree more. But yeah, should we dive into our thoughts about Alice working for the FBI?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because I call bullshit. I call that was a last-minute redemption story that they've just thrown in there. I call absolute fucking bullshit on that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely some retcon. They very specifically in the preview for this episode, like in the little recap, they specifically put a clip of her saying, "I see Charles and talk with him," or whatever, what she said to Betty one day. So I think that's trying to be like, she really is seeing Charles. She does see him.
No, that's bullshit. I call bullshit.
Yeah, I think, and if it is true, if that is how it's all, like, if it's always been true, I do kind of want to do a rewatch just to see of this season, to see how she treated Betty, because it was so awful. She didn't have to be working for the FBI to be so horrible to her daughter.
Right, exactly. And like putting her in the Sisters of Quiet Mercy and everything, like she went off the fucking deep end. Like, I'm sorry, you can't just be like, "Oh, Alice is working for the FBI this whole time." No, bullshit. Sorry, it's too late. You tried to redeem her. And that comment at the end where Veronica's like, "Yeah, actually, that kind of tracks." No, it doesn't. It does not track. No. They're trying to make it sound like it tracks.
Yeah, and it's pathetic, really, for a TV show to say about its own plot, "Oh, that makes sense." Like, no, that's so stupid. You don't write that. It's horrible writing, just horrible writing.
It's really bad writing. It's like, when you watch these movies or you watch these TV shows, I think Roseanne did it, where you watch this whole series and then the person wakes up at the end and it was all a dream. It's such a middle finger to the audience.
Yeah.
It is such a big fuck you. We don't care about your feelings. And that's why I think it pissed me off so much when they were like, "Oh, Alice has been working with the FBI." I'm like, no, she hasn't. She has not. This is just lazy writing where you're like, "Quick, we need to redeem her. How do we do this?" "Oh, she's just worked for the FBI the whole time." No, she didn't. She lost her fucking mind.
Yeah. And why would the FBI care about the farm? As far as anyone knows, there's nothing about them online. No one knew anything about them until Betty went in there. How
Right.
would they know anything? And how would Alice have been involved with Charles, who's then in the FBI? Like that doesn't make any sense. They're gonna really have to pull some strings out of their freaking buttholes to make this work next season because it really, really doesn't for me.
Me
I
either.
don't care about Alice. I don't want to see, like, I don't want her to be on the show anymore. Like, I don't want to see her anymore. And that sucks because I think Madchen is a great actress, but I don't like that character. And I really don't want Betty to go back to her mom because she really deserves better. She doesn't deserve to be treated the way that she was treated by her mother, regardless of if it was on purpose or if she was crazy or if she was doing it because she was with the FBI. I just think that's a really fucking awful, awful way to try and sweep this under the rug.
Agreed. Totally agreed. But you know what's going to happen? Betty is going to forgive her mom and things are going to go back to normal because that's the kind of character that Betty is. She would forgive her mom. She would understand everything that her mom put her through because she's that kind of person. She's sweet and she's genuine and she's forgiving. And, we're not going to see next season her going, oh, well, remember when you said this to me? That was really mean. So now I get to do this thing because you were mean to me once.
Well,
She's not like that. She's not vindictive.
no, and I think that's different than knowing that that's very different than drawing a line and setting up boundaries with a person who's been abusive to you.
Yeah.
It's very different.
I
I
do completely agree with you. Completely agree. I just think the show is going to take that liberty and just brush it under the rug, which sucks.
yeah, that's pretty awful.
Yeah, because Betty does deserve better. Oh god, I can't believe how impassioned I am about this. My Apple Watch is going to go off again. Oh gosh. Um, I want to just talk about Hal for a minute. I I don't know. I think because when I watch a TV show, I put myself in that character's shoes, and I'm kind of like, how would I feel when I was in this situation? Do we think that Hal has any love for Betty?
No.
See, I'm not so sure. I don't know, and perhaps that's like my naivety or whatever you want to call it, but I feel like he loves her. And I
Um,
think that final scene where he's like, you have to shoot me, you have to shoot me, is because he didn't trust himself not to shoot her.
maybe, but I also don't think that someone who loves you in a way that's healthy or good would try to would like hold a gun to you.
Yeah.
Um, so he might care for her in a certain way, but I think he's sick.
Yeah.
Like I think he is sick, and I don't think that he really understands what that means. So I don't think he's capable of loving her.
Because it was just weird, there's your father standing in front of you in this capacity, and he's not doing shit about it. He's letting Penelope torture, torture Betty, and he lets her drink the poison in Veronica's challenge and doesn't step in to help, but he's there right at the very end. It's I don't know. It just like I said, I tried to liken it to my own life and how I would react in that situation. And I don't know, maybe it's because I have such a normal dad who loves me so unconditionally that I can't put myself in that situation. But it's weird. It's still at the end of the day, it's her dad, it's his daughter. I don't know. You would think there'd be something there.
Yeah, I mean, as there's just so much. Oh God. As someone who has recently uh, cut off my own parent, I have looked into the eyes of someone who is sick um, in her own way and seen no love for me back. So because she just wasn't capable because she's sick.
And I have
So,
not been in that situation, and I can't imagine what that feels like. Not even like, not even a pretend of, oh yeah, I think it would feel like this. There is no way. I just can't imagine that. So perhaps I can't liken this situation to my own situation because I have not been through something like what you've been through, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. I just could I just feel like just because someone's your parent, just because someone's related, even if they're not your parent, even just because someone is your child, even just because someone's related to you by blood, any of that stuff doesn't mean that they love you, doesn't mean that they have your best intentions, doesn't mean that they're
Right.
gonna keep you safe.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
very true. And, we've seen that, God, yeah, on many occasions, especially in Riverdale.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the lodges, and you look at the way that they look after, and I use air quotes,
Yeah.
they look after Veronica. I mean, I think her mom really does love her, but her dad, fuck, I don't know what the hell's going on there. But
Yeah.
anyway,
And then there's Gladys, um, as well, her relationship with Jughead.
yeah, I mean, the way she felt about Jellybean, I think
Yeah.
she genuinely loves her.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit different when it comes to Jughead and when it comes to FP.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so funny when you just said Gladys just then. I was like, Gladys, who's Gladys? Gladys, Gladys. Why do I remember writing the word Gladys in my notes? It really took me a second. I was like, wait, what? Who is that person? That just goes to show how much has like happened in these last couple of episodes that she would already be out of my mind.
Yeah, because she hasn't been gone that long, but yeah, she's definitely been gone long enough to put her out of our minds.
Exactly. Very much so. Um, the ADR, do you know what I mean by ADR? Like sound effects and things?
See, yes,
Or like the foley or whatever you want to call it for Archie's challenge scene where he's fighting, that guy dressed as a bear
yeah,
was fucking out of control. It was like legitimately out of control. I think I mentioned this once before that I used to work with this guy. I've produced several films for him, and he is obsessed with ADR. Like to the point where it sounds fake because there's so much of it. And it made me laugh because during this bear fighting scene, I was like, "Yep, bet you this guy that I know edited this scene because listen to this ADR."
yeah. A lot of the well, that's funny because I have another note that's about Veronica's challenge where they're drinking from the cups. Just like
Slurping?
just the whole scene of slurping, just so much slurping.
Yeah. Neither of the girls are slurpers. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah,
I wrote that too. I was like, the ADR of slurping the drinks during Veronica's challenge is ridiculous. Neither of the girls would slurp like that.
no, very loud, very intense.
You know what? I'm going to look up this episode real quick on IMDb and see if it is this guy that I know that edited it because it would be so funny. I'm going to laugh my ass off if it is him.
Just right up his alley.
It's just so like him. Hang on, here he is. Series cast, editor. Okay, he's not in any of the the editing, the composer, the sound mixing, sound department. Here we go. Let me have a quick look. No, okay, he's not here. I wonder if he's somehow connected to the person that did this episode. Anyway, it was just a lot. It really was just a lot. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. But anyway, I just had to mention that about the bear noises and the throwing and the thumping and then the slurping. Oh god, that slurping. And that's a pet hate of mine. I hate when people slurp their drinks. So this one was especially aggravating for me when I was like, these two girls are not slurping their drinks. Why would they do that?
Yeah, it was very out of character for that.
Very much so. My next note is, oh my God, finally, someone acknowledges how crazy it is that Kevin is at the farm and his dad wouldn't stand for it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I missed this moment.
Okay, so when Cheryl, like, after she's just discovered Jason and she bursts into the room when Edgar and Alice are speaking, in her little monologue there where she's like, I can't believe you did this, blah, 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 she makes a comment. She goes, as she's being pulled out of the room, she goes, Kevin's dad is a lawman and he would not stand for this crazy, or he would not stand for this. I was like, hella fucking Luya. Somebody has finally acknowledged the fact that Kevin's dad used to be the sheriff, and wouldn't he be questioning where his son is and what's going on, and, know that his son has just had surgery?
Yeah, okay. That makes a lot more sense now because I couldn't understand what she was saying. I caught something about lawman, like, or something like that, whatever she said. Um,
Yeah.
but I couldn't figure out who she was talking about. I was like, is she talking about FP? That doesn't really make sense. But that makes a lot more sense that she was talking about Kevin's dad.
Yeah, because like I've said a million times, I'm like, where do these parents think their kids are?
Yeah.
They're not at school, they're at the farm. Maybe they're going home for a minute or two, but they got these weird scars on them, and like it's kind of crazy. But I'm really glad that finally they acknowledged the fact that this situation is really like far-fetched, and
Yeah.
that parents, as hopeless as they are in the town of Riverdale, would not actually stand for this kind of baloney.
Yeah, and I liked the amount of "you're crazy" like that came out of the cast this episode. To Edgar and to Penelope, there was just a lot of like, "You're freaking crazy, dude!" Like I loved that.
Yeah, like you've lost your freaking mind. Like, how do you even think that this is normal?
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, my next note is about Hiram. It's a very short little one. Um, yeah, Hiram Lodge would not be in the jail that he owns and operates.
No.
That's like a massive conflict of interest. That was really fucking dumb.
Well, and he doesn't own it anymore.
Right, I know, but it's still like he's associated with it. There'd be no way they would put him in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
None whatsoever. I actually didn't, I think I missed it, and I know what episode it was in, but I kind of missed the fact that that jail was even open, to be completely honest.
I feel like I remember it opening, but yeah, it's open for
It,
sure.
it was kind of on the down low. There wasn't a big deal about it. I think it was just kind of mentioned. I think Mad Dog mentioned it, and then that was kind of it. It must have just been opened after that. I don't know.
Yeah, something
But
like that.
oh god, and then Hiram's little like soliloquy where he's like, "Oh, Veronica, you have no idea what's coming." I'm like, "Bro, she can't hear you. No one can hear you. Shut up, you're dumb."
Yeah.
That's all. That's all on that.
I feel
That's
like
all
I
on that.
blocked out that because I barely remember it because I just
It was
don't care
dumb, so you've probably done yourself a favor.
about it.
Oh god, he's like lifting weights and he goes, "Oh, Veronica, you have no idea what's coming for you, Mija." And then he like lies back down and starts lifting weights again. I'm like, "You're a douche. That's what's up."
So weird.
Oh god. Oh, Betty's reaction when Penelope shoots Hal was that not the best fucking acting you have ever seen from Lily?
She was great this episode. And she always is, but yeah, she's great.
Oh my god, just her reaction, like the fact that she can still love her father after everything he's done, was incredible. I
Yeah.
just, it was so organic and it was just gorgeous. And I know it sounds weird to say that her trauma is gorgeous, but it was just so raw and brilliantly acted. And I was really impressed.
Yeah. She did very well this episode.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, another little thing that I really liked was when the FBI agent reveals himself as Charles, which I have in big capital letters in my notes. Charles! I loved that little laugh that Betty gave as well, where she's just like, wait, what? She had this like little laugh because it was interesting. I sort of watched her reaction a couple of times where she had sort of no reaction. Then she was a bit confused, and then she laughed because she thought it was funny, and then she realized that he was telling the truth. Like, she went through this whole series of emotion without actually saying much.
Yeah.
I thought it was perfect. I really liked it.
Yeah, the meeting between the three of them, Betty and Charles and Jughead, it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, I mean, how do we think that Charles survived then? Because Chick was pretty adamant he'd killed him.
Well, I mean, I feel like I'd said before that I didn't believe that Charles was dead.
Yes, because you're right about everything.
Stop. Just because in TV, for me, a person's not dead on a TV show unless you've seen their body. Like, unless you've seen them die, they're not, I don't believe that they're dead. Like, they could come back at any time. And if you watch Jane the Virgin, even if they do die and you watch them die on the show, doesn't mean that they're dead. They could still come back with amnesia. I'm not bitter. But so I anticipated him coming back at any time because I also think Chick is not a reliable narrator.
True. Like, we never really got the full story from him.
No, and they were on drugs, right? They were doing drugs.
Yeah, allegedly.
So who knows what he remembers as being correct? Maybe he didn't even touch Charles. Maybe that never even happened. Also, maybe the Charles he knew wasn't the right Charles. Because how is this Charles in the FBI?
I was about to say, this Charles looks very straight-laced.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like he's had a good, proper upbringing. And I'm wondering if he is in any way connected with Chick, then perhaps it was like an undercover thing, like what we're meant to believe about Alice and the Farm. Maybe Charles was undercover trying to get Chick for something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. That could totally be it. Or he was just undercover trying to get somebody and Chick was just there as well. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see next season what they show us with him. I'm very curious. And I thought it was also interesting that they went with that he really, I mean, I think I need to look at him again and get like a better look, especially if we get some scenes with him with FP. I think that'll be really interesting. But he looks kind of like Hal to me.
Yeah, he was very blonde hair, blue-eyed. He does look a lot like Hal. I definitely don't see the resemblance to FP. I wish they had cast somebody maybe a little bit more rough around the edges, just a little.
Yeah, he looked very all-American.
Very much so. Very, very much so. Yeah. I don't know. But I'm excited that he's around. I'm hoping he's one of the good guys. I'm hoping it doesn't turn bad because I think Betty needs a little bit of a break after this insane season.
Yeah. We'll have to see because let's talk about, do we want to jump to the very end of the episode?
Sure. The only other thing that I had left that I wanted to comment on was obviously Cheryl's crazy now that she's got her brother back. Like,
oh my God, we cannot skip that.
We can't at all. Like, that was really unsettling. And why was his mouth sewn shut? Who did that?
That's what they do when they bury you.
No, they don't.
Not in the way that his was, but yes, when you go through a mortuary and you go through that process with them taking out all your fluids and all that stuff.
Right.
They wire your mouth closed, but it usually doesn't look like how his looks. You usually can't see it. Most of the time they do that stuff so that people look, even if they don't show them, I think, that they look more peaceful and not so gruesome. But
Heidi, are you serious? Like, are you actually for serious?
you didn't know that?
I didn't know it, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, and I'm choosing to not believe you because it's grossing me out.
I mean, I'm sorry to tell you this, but yeah, your mouth gets wired shut because
So I'm going to see a show tonight, and my friend who's in the show is also a mortician, and I'm going to ask him about that.
Yeah, do it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but at least as far as I know, that is a common practice. For example, there's this really great show on Netflix, which I don't know if you've watched, but you should because you'll love it. Called The Haunting of Hill House.
Yes, freaking love it. It's actually based on one of my favorite books.
Yeah. Well, she has her mouth wired shut. Nell.
Oh, that's right. She does too.
Yeah, and she like has to cut it or whatever to get her mouth open.
I don't know if you just heard that beep, that like it sounded like a doorbell where it went ding ding.
I did not.
Yeah, that was my Apple Watch telling me to chill out again. So
I mean, we can stop talking about this, but yeah.
No, it's okay. It's fine. I just love that my watch just keeps going off, and I'm like, shut up! I know I'm very impassioned right now. Shut up.
This also, he would be dead for like 2 years at this point.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. So rigor mortis would have set in. There is no way they would have been able to bend him to get him to sit in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that one, did you?
It's gross
So
all
gross.
around. And that she is still, I don't understand. Because she was so upset about it. And she was so upset about it. And then she just turns around and is fine with it. I don't get it.
I don't know, unless something just kind of snapped.
Yeah.
Unless she kind of snapped and she's like, oh, I've got my brother back. Yay. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, lordy, 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 lordy.
Very dark.
Very dark. Exactly. Nice little setup for season 4 and what's to come. Obviously, they've tried to make it look worse than I'm sure it actually is. And they're alluding to the fact that Jughead is dead or missing or captured or something, which is not going to be the case.
No.
But my favorite part was the fact that they got him shirtless again. They got Archie in very quickly shirtless.
Yeah. And the girls too, no clothes. Yeah, they're just in their underwear.
Yeah. But interesting, if you listen to what Betty says, it sounds like the 4 of them have kind of become disconnected and they're not really friends. Because the tone in which she was saying, like, we'll go over to college and we will never, ever see each other ever again. You know, it kind of sounds like something else was going on there where maybe they're not friends anymore.
Yeah, or whatever brought them to this particular situation. It's important for them not to be friends anymore, or it's safe for them to be separated. And yeah, before I got a chance to watch the episode, I did see people kind of freaking out online about, is Jughead gonna be dead? Is Jughead dead?
No, he's not dead.
Yeah, when I watched the scene, I was like, I don't read that at all from this scene. Like, if you're stupid, I don't know how else to put it. Like, I don't know. If you're very naive, maybe you think that this scene somehow is telling you Jughead's dead, but they burned his hat. He's not there. That doesn't mean he's dead. They're covered in blood, but that doesn't mean it's Jughead's.
Right, exactly. Anyway, that is all. That's all I'm going to say on that.
I am very curious to see what gets them there. It feels very How to Get Away with Murder.
Yes, it does actually. It does indeed. And I was about to say they're on the same network, but no, they're not.
No.
How to Get Away with Murder's ABC and Riverdale's CW. But yeah, it does seem very How to Get Away with Murder-ish. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next season.
Yes, it definitely will.
Well, what rating do you give this episode?
Oh my goodness. Overall, I have good feelings about this episode. My only qualm is really with Alice. But I don't think that detracts from the episode too much. I think that's going to be something that we have to deal with in the future with her.
Agreed.
But overall, I did enjoy this episode, and it does seem to be that a lot of loose ends are tied up. There's no more Black Hood. Knock on wood, as far as we can tell. And I'm very happy about that. And Gargoyle King as well seems to be put to an end. We just have the cult to look forward to and whatever else these kiddos get themselves into. So
and possibly the return of Penelope.
Yes.
Depending on how they want to play that.
Yes, but I don't think that's going to come in the form of things that we've seen already. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah. Agreed.
So I think probably like an A-.
I'm going to give it an A+. I really, really liked this episode. The whole time I was just like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then even as I was watching it for the first time, I was like, I can't wait to watch this again. I really liked it. And yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, with the exception of the Alice stuff, which was absolute bullshit. And you know, because my Apple Watch went off, how impassioned I was. I really think that this was a great episode. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And what would Betty do?
Oh,
apart from kick fucking ass.
Yeah. She would, she would survive the night.
Oh, I like that. I see what you did there. You brought it back around. Very nice, Heidi.
Thank you.
I mean, we can't top that. We may as well wrap up the episode now. There's no other way to go out than that. All right, friends. Well, look, it's the end of season 3. Heidi and I are yet to kind of decide what we're going to do to kill time between now and season 4, but keep an eye on our Facebook page. We'll post any updates there. And don't forget to subscribe to us on Podbean and on Apple Podcasts. We'd appreciate it. All right. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.